Hi, folks. Thanks so much for joining us for the NASA SBIR Ignite Ask Me Anything. We're going to be starting in 2 minutes here. If you can write in the chat who you are and where you're from, that'd be great. Looking forward to seeing the conversations there. We'll be starting in 2 minutes. Okay, I think we're gonna get started here. Thanks so much for engagement in the chat. See folks from on both coasts, so really great to see that. Again, thank you so much for joining today's NASA SBIR Ignite Ask Me Anything. My name is Donna. I'm helping to support the team. So just going over a bit of structure. Usually how these go is we have 15 to 20 minutes of a overview on the SBIR Ignite program, and then we would go into the topics. Today is going to be the radioisotopes as well as the payloads, but unfortunately we had to push those topics out to next week. So usually we would do kind of an 5-minute overview for each of those topics, and then leave the rest of the time for any questions about the program or any of the topics. But unfortunately for those topics, we'll push to next week. So today will just be a general overview of the SBIR Ignite program. So if you have any programmatic questions, this would be a really great time for you to ask those. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Haley.
Thanks, Donna, and thanks everybody for joining today. I want to also apologize that we're not able to include those other topics today. We just had a last minute change, so we're shifting a little bit, but I'm happy to be here to talk to everybody about Ignite. And like Donna said, please put your questions in the Q&A or the chat, and we will be rescheduling those topics for next week's Ask Me Anything. If you have questions about the schedule for those, you can go to the SBIR Ignite webpage, and there is a listing for those, and we'll get that updated shortly to show the shift in topics. I am Haley Dowd. I represent the SBIR program here at NASA, and would like to talk a little bit about what Ignite is all about and how it fits into the bigger picture of NASA and of SBIR at NASA. Next slide, please, Donna. All right, so first of all, going really to the basics, what does SBIR provide to small businesses, and why is it a really valuable program to interact with if you are a small business? So the general structure is designed to provide early stage funding for research and development activities. And that means you can get up to over $1 million during the first 3 years of working with an agency through your research activities. One of the key differences with SBIR is that we take zero equity in the development and technology. So you get to keep all of your IP, which is pretty unique to working with the government. The other great thing about working with NASA SBIR is you get access to all of our technical experts that are working in your area that can provide guidance and input as you work through your technology development. Next slide. All right, so just to kind of brag about some of the great things that have come out of the SBIR program so far, what you see on your screen now is an image of Perseverance rover. You're also seeing a welcome poll, so please take a minute to fill out that. But behind the poll is Perseverance rover, and there are multiple technologies that are on the rover that were born out of the SBIR program. We're really proud of that. And these are technologies and software that are really valuable to the operation of the system. And really, we couldn't do these types of programs and missions without small business input. So, really excited to have you here to learn more about it. Next slide, please. So, if we take a step back and look at how SBIR really fits into NASA's strategic goals, it's important to see that the third strategic goal is to have economic impact. And the SBIR program does that through supporting small businesses that eventually grow into businesses that have much more economic impact and go to market, provide critical technologies to the nation and beyond. So, what we're doing here really plays into NASA's larger mission in the United States. Next slide. So, what is NASA SBIR STTR's mission? It's really to empower all small businesses to imagine, build, and utilize revolutionary technologies to drive NASA and the national economy to reach heights. And the vision for their program is a world where any entrepreneur can benefit humanity, which I hope indicates to you that our door is open and we want to talk and we want to learn about your technologies and see how we can support you. Next slide. Okay, so starting to look at the difference between SBIRs that are traditionally come out of NASA and the program that we're here to talk about today, Ignite, we really have to start looking at the economy and the impact of investment in the space economy. If you look at the pie chart on your screen, you'll see in purple the government space budget, and then you'll see a much larger slice that's commercial space products and services. And so over the last several years, we've seen significant growth in the commercial market related to space. But it's important to note there that there's still a lack of heavy investment and room for more investment in hardware development and technologies that can support more missions. So we find that there's really a need for this partnership between government and commercial markets and contributors. So we were looking at ways to really hit that section of technology development and see where we could invest in those areas. So next slide. So the outcome of that is the SBIR Ignite pilot initiative. So Ignite is a 3-year pilot that was started in 2022, and it's focused on product-driven companies that are looking to land their technology in the commercial market. You may see NASA as a stepping stone, but you don't see NASA as your single only customer at the end of your development. So it's a really critical thing to note about the difference in Ignite. And it's pretty clearly written into our solicitation that is our goal. And you can see there's variations in review that suggest the importance of that commercial aspect. It is set up the same way as traditional SBIR in that there are 3 phases and they have increasing levels of funding. And we expect our next solicitation to open in the early summer of 2024. So over the last couple of years, we've had 12 companies that were selected for phase 1s in 2022, and all of those were selected for phase 2 awards in 2023. We're currently working with our 2023 cohort of 10 companies, and they're getting close to preparing their phase 2 proposals soon. So looking out for that. Next slide. So just to give you a scope for what the contracts sort of look like, what the path forward looks like if you are involved in Ignite. Like I mentioned before, it is similar to what we call mainline SBIR or like a traditional SBIR through NASA. There are 3 phases. Phase 1 is $150,000 with a 6-month period of performance, just like a traditional SBIR. Phase 2 is where you see a little bit of difference. During that time, you get $850,000, but there is a goal of having a shortened period of performance. We will contract up to 24 months, but we really look for shorter period of performance because we're hoping for you to be able to get your technology to market as soon as possible. And then phase 3, like a normal SBIR, is non-SBIR funding. So funding that's coming from within NASA or another government agency to fund your activities. During phase 1, you still have the opportunity to apply for I-Corps. And for phase 1 and 2, you do have the opportunity to apply for TABA funds. And there are similar post phase 2 opportunities after you wrap your phase 2 period of performance as well. So a lot of similarities here, but some slight differences compared to mainline SBIR. In terms of really like the guts of the program, it is a little bit different in that we have a lot more engagement with Ignite. So we have a smaller cohort of firms that are awarded. So there's a lot more opportunity for one-on-one conversations and communication. We do have a Slack channel. We're holding a lot more events prior to the solicitation opening, as you can tell, since you're at one of them. We also have catalyst events and coaching opportunities for firms. We have a smaller number of topics that are unique to Ignite, and they are much more focused on commercial markets in space aerospace. So it's important to check out the solicitation when it is released because it will not be the same as SBIR subtopics. The solicitation for Ignite is a little more open, so we have less prescriptive topics. So it allows you to kind of keep your go-to-market strategy while you're developing your technology, so you don't have to make as many adjustments to align with what NASA is looking for. And we do require a shorter proposal that is in different phases with a slide deck and a shorter written proposal to try to save some of your time and make the lift for applying for an Ignite proposal a little bit easier, because you're really working a lot of commercialization efforts, and we want this to just be like an additional push into that market. And like I mentioned, it does have the accelerated schedule for shorter phase 2s. That also means, though, we are trying to get your phase 2 award to you as soon as possible. So during the phase 1 period of performance, we've moved up the phase 2 proposal period by 2 months. So phase 2 proposals are due in the 4th month. And that allows you to get your phase 2 funding a little bit faster and keep up your momentum. Next slide. All right, so here's our topics from last year and the year before. In FY23, we had 5 topics. In 22, we had 6 topics. These are pretty good examples of the types of areas that we look in. We do evaluate our topics to see if we think that they have a strong commercial market that's ready for a technology and has investors actively working in that area. We want to make sure that we're funding technologies that will be able to garner outside funding once they're, headed to market. Next slide. All right, one of the really unique parts of Ignite are catalyst events. And these are events that are held leading up to solicitation release. We have one more coming on May 6th for this year. But these are opportunities for small businesses and investors, representative from prime companies, to come together and talk about the potential technology that you're developing, talk about the market that exists around that, and develop some understanding about what NASA is looking for, what the market's looking for, and try to give you some guidance on where you can go in that area. We do have NASA subject matter experts in those meetings as well, so they can give you some guidance about what NASA's interested in and what they see is like really the future for whatever these technologies may be. They're typically aligned to major conferences to try to ease that travel burden. And if it is going to be an in-person event, it's actually held as a dual hybrid event, so you can join virtually if you would like to. There are also virtual Catalyst events that are held completely virtually so that people can participate that way as well. Currently, because the next event is on the 6th, those applications are not open at the moment. But generally, there's a call for applications in advance of the event where you can request a one-on-one meeting with a representative group of subject matter experts, investors, and other interested parties. And then you go through the event and meet with these investors. But you are able to join Catalyst events if you're not involved in one of the one-on-ones. You can join the overview sessions and meet with the other participants at the same time. Next slide. So the next event is May 6th in Chicago. It will focus on aviation batteries, and you can register now to join the general sessions and the panel discussions. So the link below will help you get there. If you have any questions, please let us know. It looks like Donna has posted that into the chat as well. So thanks for doing that, Donna. Next slide. All right, so notionally, what does Ignite's schedule look like and where are we in it right now? So as you can see, we're wrapping up our Ask Me Anything meetings, and we are in the middle of H4X and BMNT providing coaching to firms. And then we're preparing for the release of the solicitation in early summer. So traditionally, we hold Catalyst events and Ask Me Anythings in preparation of that. So we're learning what is out there in the market, who is out working in that area, and try to design a solicitation that will align to that. Next slide. All right, so how can you get connected? What else is going on? You can always sign up for the NASA SBIR STTR newsletter, and that is located on the NASA SBIR website, and the link is provided there for you. On the SBIR Ignite page, you can also get all of this similar information about what Ignite is really about. You can also look at the current schedule for topics for the Ask Me Anything events. Additionally, you can join the Slack channel, and you can learn more about other community building activities that are held by H4X. If you have interest in larger scale SBIR, STTR programs at a federal level, you can go to the Small Business Administration's website. Next slide. And that's it. So, Donna, did you want to touch on the topics that were going to be discussed next week, or should we just go into Q&A?
Sorry, hi, finding the unmute button. I think in order to do justice to the topics, I think it might be best for us to wait until next week for the subject matter experts to speak for themselves as to where the areas of interest are. So we're going to send that, or that will be with next week's AMA. So on the May 1st, that will be the last AMA that's happening. Just to reiterate, the topics that are going to be presented there: the radioisotope power systems, lunar surface payloads. Those two that were supposed to be for today are going to be pushed next week, and it's going to be combined with two other topics as well: microgravity simulators and leak-free cryogenic valves. So 4 topics will be presented at next week's AMA. The registration link is posted on the SBIR Ignite website. I'll repost that website, but if you can register for May 1st, you'll be able to get access to hearing the SMEs talk about all 4 of those topics. Even if you can't join, please register so we can send you the recording.
Sounds good.
Okay, sounds good. So I think we will move into Q&A. We have a couple of questions here, and some questions we've already answered through just kind of the typing answers, so everyone in the audience should be able to access those. Maybe we'll start first with a question from Pat. Pat asks, will this round of Ignite require external VC investment like prior rounds?
That is a great question, Pat. It is important to show that there may be external investment interest. It's always beneficial if you can show that you have investment. But I would say definitely read through all of the specifics in the upcoming solicitation. If you want to get insights currently, you can go to last year's solicitation and ask questions about that one. As soon as the solicitation is released, we will be in a blackout period for discussion. So all questions will have to go through the SBIR help desk.
Awesome. Thanks, Haley. Okay, and then a question from James. James asks, how do we engage with the Ignite team on topic descriptions? Is there a POC for industry inputs on these topics?
Yeah, you can actually reach out to me to get those. And if you want to drop my email address, Donna, you can do that. So you can reach out to me directly about those, and I can get you connected to the subject matter expert in that area that might be interested in developing a topic. But that's kind of how we build those out.
Okay, sounds good. Another question, this is from Marshall. Marshall asks, are there really only 5 or is it 10 topics?
So that varies based on solicitation. Last year it was 5. The year before that it was 6. I don't know at this moment how many we will have in this year's solicitation. It has not been determined yet.
Thank you. Okay, next question is from John. John's question is very similar to the question before last that we just heard, but he asks, how can we suggest topics such as dust mitigation for lunar assets to be included in the 2024 solicitation? Again, we'll point you to sending an email to Haley. I'll also make sure we have that as an answer to your question as well, so you can access that. Any other questions? If anyone has any other questions, you can send it into the Q&A function. Any questions about generally the programmatics about SBIR Ignite, or even any questions on the topics, we won't be able to get them answered today, but we can try to find answers and get back to you on that if you do have any questions on those. Okay, we have one come in from Anonymous. Anonymous asks, the SBIR Ignite has a limitation on the amount of a proposer that can be owned by VC funds. What happens if that amount changes between phase 1 and phase 2?
So we would need to know the specifics of the situation for that. I would say if that is an issue for you, like if you're out of a 2023 firm right now, reach out to me or reach out to the help desk to get clarification. It's hard to answer definitively on those types of questions until we know the exact situation. So I would hate to tell you the wrong thing, honestly. But do reach out if you can like share the specific details of the situation.
Thank you. Another question is from Anonymous, who asks, is this SBIR Ignite program appropriate for people thinking of starting a venture to pursue a topic, or do you expect more established companies?
We are always excited to see new companies proposing to Ignite. It's been a big push to try to communicate with more firms that have not worked with NASA SBIR before. We want to make sure that we're reaching out to as many people as possible. So it is definitely not geared towards more established companies. It is open to all, and we are excited to see proposals from new to NASA groups.
Okay, that seems to be all of the open questions that we have. Again, folks, if you have any other questions, please put it into the Q&A function. I think in the meantime, I will launch a new poll. This will be the ending poll. If you can let us know if how we did, if you have any questions that got answered, or if you were able to learn what you wanted out of the session. I'll give folks 2 minutes to do that, and see if we get any additional questions. But if not, we'll do a wrap up and end the session early to refund some time for folks. And I'll
Yeah,
again
and
post.
please check the website for the announcement for the next event so you can get connected to those if you were looking for those technical topics this time.
Thanks for the shout, Carlos. Okay. We do have a question from Marshall. He says, my question wasn't entirely answered, e.g. is microgravity and leak-free cryogenic valves one topic or two? So sorry
So
about that.
those are two distinct areas of interest, I would say. They just happen to be grouped together in one Ask Me Anything.
Okay, looks like we have no other questions. Folks, some time. Oh, another one. Marshall asked, and so the next AMA will cover 4. Yes, thanks for the clarification. The next AMA will cover 4 different topics. That's correct. Okay.
No,
The question comes.
I don't do anything for NIAC.
Yeah, the question was, do we handle topics for NIAC? And the answer is no, we do not. Okay. And with that, I think that is the end, the questions that we have. Maybe we'll shoot it over to Haley. Any wrapping, closing thoughts before we close off this AMA?
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Donna and Starter, for all the support and getting this taken care of. So sorry that we had to make that last minute adjustment on the agenda of the meeting, but we do look forward to covering those topics next week. So please join us if you can. And if you are interested in aviation batteries, please look into the Catalyst event that's being held on the 6th.
Thank you so much, folks. We'll refund the rest of the time. Have a wonderful Thursday, and we'll see you at the next event. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.